Are you ready to get your health back but feel overwhelmed by the endless healthcare options? We believe God has called each of us to a specific assignment, and we want to make sure your body, mind, and heart are up for the task. It's time to simplify the process of healing. At Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer simple, effective, easy ways to prioritize your health and gain understanding. No prescription pad needed. I'm Kari, a pharmacist turned integrative health practitioner. I'm so excited to have these conversations around topics with my friend, Jenn.
Hi there, I'm Jenn, and together with our team at Cornerstone Integrative Healing, we offer an alternative to traditional healthcare, combining our expertise and experience in the medical field with our knowledge and faith to break the cycles of guessing what's wrong. We know the road to healing, feeling good again, can be overwhelming. You can expect honest conversations around the ups and downs of healing. The truth is, there are so many layers to healing. Because we've taken the time to learn where true healing comes from, we've learned how to help other women to discover a different way of caring for themselves. Join us every week for new episodes as we discuss topics that are personal and pertinent to your healing journey.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back into the Cornerstone Integrative Healing Podcast. It's Kari and Jenn here with another episode for you. Glad to have you back, or if you're listening for the first time, we're really glad that you've joined us. We have another case study for you today. I hope you've enjoyed having those in rotation a little bit more. We really love sharing just about digging into someone's case and just really putting clues together and really just the whole beautiful story comes about from each and every person that God brings to us. And so it's really cool to share that with you. So today we have a case study on a client with endometriosis. And so I know that's, something common that women struggle with. And so I hope this is just something that you could relate to, or somebody that you might could share it with them. We're excited to dig into this case study. Jenn, do you want to give a little background on this person?
Yes. So this person had endometriosis, cysts, so PCOS, and really painful periods. At the time, Kari started seeing her, and then I took over, and she was 38, not married. Fertility wasn't a concern for her at this point. She just really wanted to feel better. And so she had a lot of medical interventions. She had been on the birth control for years. She had done the Depo shot, all to control the really painful endometriosis and cycle. So her periods were horrible, throwing up in bed. So she did have surgical intervention for the cysts. They drained the cyst. Her doctor told her at the time that she had endo everywhere. So, it was over and on a lot of glands, which is, can happen and is somewhat common, I would say. So yeah, she just had a lot of bloating and swelling in her lower abdomen, especially after the surgical intervention. He was worried about the ovarian function because he said he had tore them up pretty good trying to clean them up. And frankly said, he didn't know if they would work again. So she was just really desperate to feel better. So she decided to go the natural route and took out an IUD. It was just in there for, helping getting the cycles and endometriosis under control. And so she didn't have a period for 2 years after they removed the IUD. And then after that, it was very inconsistent. So she would go 3 to 4 months without a period. And if she did have a period, it would be horrible. So we just started with, some of the basics, balancing blood sugar, getting her on some minerals, working on digestion. So, which obviously you have to do the foundational stuff, right?
Yeah.
Kari, do you want to kind of talk a little bit more about what you started with her?
Yeah. Again, just there was a lot of things that I feel like she had researched, and was doing, quote, a lot of the right things that you see. However, we made some really key tweaks. I know that digestion was a big thing for her, just bloating after almost everything she ate and just inconsistency with bowels and all of those things and some indigestion. So just working on chewing her food and slowing down and not drinking so much with meals and just eating enough was another thing that we worked on. Again, that helps with balancing blood sugar, of course, but I think digestion was a bigger piece with her than maybe what would meet the eye. Obviously, with endometriosis, there's a lot of inflammation. And so just, trying to get some of that inflammation down, obviously replacing some of the minerals helps with that. Just really overall changing her mindset around health in general really helped her. The way that she approached her health, I think it had come with a lot of stress and just anxiety in the past, and just trying to help her maybe reframe that I think was really big for her. And it didn't happen overnight, but I think she would say that that was a big part of her story.
Yeah. Yeah. So, was there anything specific in the beginning that you feel like was it supplementation or I mean, besides the chewing the food, like, was there, um
Slowing down, making sure that she was able to just not stay so stressed all day, and then she was having trouble with sleep at night, so that really helped. Um, there was just some nervous system dysregulation there for sure, as I've said, so that really plays into digestion and really overall health, just trying to help get her more into that rest and digest state. Um, Liver support was big, and this was really before we knew parasites was a big issue, but liver support really helped her, obviously with digestion, but also with hormones. Just trying to work toward that hormonal balance, especially after being on birth control and, various hormonal things over the years, just trying to get that out of her system and kind of reset it.
Yeah, the receptor sites, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even, like, castor oil packs and lemon water, obviously, we did use some supplements too, something called Cruciferous Complete, which has been studied, by the way, to favor the excretion of the stronger estrogens, which with endometriosis is definitely an issue. So, it was lifestyle and supplements, but we also just supported again, this was a little bit more of a Band-Aid. Obviously, nutrition works more in depth, not just as a Band-Aid, but we did support just the overall, progesterone, production in the body using something called Chaste and Ovex-P just to help her ovaries communicate better with the hypothalamus and help her own endogenous production of progesterone, because obviously with endometriosis you definitely have more estrogen in relation to progesterone. That's one of the biggest pieces. We should probably back up and talk about that for a second. Endometriosis, one of the major focuses is high estrogen. The liver's not working well. There might be what we call exogenous hormone or outside xenoestrogens, right? Things like plastics and pesticides that really mimic estrogens that can be contributing to the overall load. Now,
Mhm.
anything physical stressing the body, it can lead to, poor liver clearance, poor gut, remember liver, estrogen gets conjugated in the liver, which means that attaches it to a compound. And then as it's being excreted, obviously it's got to go through the gut, helps through, bile to excrete it. If the gut flora isn't well and good, sometimes that estrogen can get deconjugated, right? And then get recirculated and act on the body again. So, Kari talked about digestion because digestion is important for the gut health, right? Digestion is a north to south process. And so, getting bile flow, getting, good enzymes, production, changing the environment in the gut so that the microbiome could flourish, were all pieces of it for us. And then parasites. Parasites ended up being a big piece for her. We actually sent her to a colleague that does neuroemotional technique, NET, for some repressed emotions. We thought that nervous system and repressed emotions was a big piece, which it turned out it really was for her. I feel like those are the two things that really once we started working on the emotions and really working on parasites, things started to shift for her. Um, which I was grateful because, when she came to us, yeah, I mean, constant indigestion, gas and bloating, headaches, constantly overwhelmed, problems sleeping, waking up at night, anxiety. There was just a lot going on. And so for her to get that little bit of relief was great. What we found was that nervous system that, was a big piece, which it is for most people, right? Like, we don't think emotions play that big of a piece, but they do. And we've talked about that. We did find food sensitivity. So, dairy was a big thing for her. It was causing a lot of gas and bloating. So, after we took her off the dairy, and she went back and forth. Like, she wasn't super sold on getting off the
Mhm.
dairy. But once she found that her gas and bloating was almost non-existent when she didn't eat the dairy, it's because the gut lining, right? The stress, the nervous system, wasn't great, and therefore the gut wasn't great. So once she was committed to really staying off the dairy, we saw leaps and bounds too, because the inflammation is being brought down, right?
Yeah,
Which plays just a huge piece. Um, so she did journal a lot also. She spent a lot of time journaling, doing a lot of inner work. So I give her a lot of credit for that because that's a big
yeah,
piece.
for sure. Yeah.
Um, Yes. So, we had to sort of quote unquote give her some things to make her more comfortable and help the body with the progesterone piece. In the meantime, while we were working on her liver to help clear the estrogen, right? On the gut to make sure that the gut was healthy. And doing things like increasing fiber, raw carrot salads, again, for the gut, she was really good with. And then the liver lifestyle stuff too, as I mentioned, the lemon water and the castor oil packs too. She was waking up, sweaty. She was having really bad night sweats. And sometimes was waking up multiple times a night, kind of all sweaty. So after we did put her on a little bit of a adaptogen, called rhodiola and ginseng, which is rhodiola is this really beautiful, robust flower that blooms in the dead winter in Siberia. And so those adaptogen properties that it has is passed on to us. And then Korean ginseng, which obviously is a very warm herb, can be stimulating, but it's a hot herb, and rhodiola is a cool herb, and so this formula is a really balanced formula. She really started noticing difference in the night sweats, which was fantastic because sometimes she would be up 4 or 5 times a night because of that. Um, We saw some things, on, the lab work too that we had to tweak, like her iron was high, her TPO was creeping up, which is a thyroid marker, thyroid antibody marker. So we really were conscious of those things too. And again, supporting liver, working on the gut, those indirectly, of course, address those, which was great. Um Yeah, so where is she now? So she did a lot of work. As I said, the emotional work, she did the physical work, she did a lot of inner healing, um, and she started having good cycles. Not every cycle's been great, but it is a huge change to what it was. So the bowel movements were improving. She reported almost no constipation, which was great. Um, and she started having, a cycle that was good, and then a cycle where she was just spotting, and then a really painful cycle. And then she might miss a cycle, and then that cycle would kind of start over. But she also started lifting, so using weights, exercising to her tolerance, and she felt like that was really helping the inflammation in general, which was great.
Yeah.
She said the mental clarity too, and she just felt like it helped her with the stress load, which was great. Hair loss started decreasing, which was all great. And her sleep, of course, improved pretty drastically. She felt more rested in the morning, which was key, super key. And then just other things that, her allergies weren't as bad as they usually were. Her heartburn went away. She felt more regulated being around her family, right? She didn't feel
Mhm.
as triggered or stimulated. So, all those little pieces started to add up. The fatigue started getting better. And so slowly, her periods just got better and better. And they're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But again, we're seeing, changes in other aspects, like her nervous system is regulating better. The energy levels are stabilizing. She's really focused on blood sugar, eating enough during the day and consistently. Um, and then, as I said, the last piece that we really worked on was the parasites. She noticed that around the full moon, she was much more swollen and much more inflamed, and she had a really hard time sleeping around the full moon, which are all, just key indicators that it was probably relating to parasites. So we really, in the last several months, really hit the parasites hard. And that's where I really feel like she saw huge improvements. Um,
Yeah.
and now we're just making small tweaks, like increasing iodine in her diet. Iodine is so important for proper estrogen removal. So it favors the excretion of the stronger estrogens. And for women, it's just so key to help prevent the estrogen sensitive cancers. And I know I've talked about this before, but like the coastal regions of Japan, where they eat naturally, get a lot of iodine from seaweed and fish and things like that, they have much lower rates of the estrogen sensitive cancers. So just trying to make tweaks now to support things, getting midday sun exposure to increase vitamin D. So it's just little tweaks, right, that we start to refine after they start to see the relief.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention one more thing before we kind of wrap up. First off, we've been seeing this client for about 3.5 years. So, endometriosis is definitely something that has a lot of layers and takes time for your body to heal. So I just wanted to mention the time frame on that. Not that it took that long to see any change at all, but
Right.
that just
Of an
it's definitely,
evolution.
yeah. It's a process. It's a journey. But recently on an update form, this client put that stress has less of a hold on her and that she has less worry about her health and hormonal cycle. So I felt like those were extremely big wins, even though they seem small. And just learning more about full surrender to the Lord and thankful for the peace that He gives. So, yeah, I think those are great, if not better, wins than the physical
Yeah.
ones
Sure.
because they really go to all areas of our lives and just have far reaching benefits.
Yes.
So, um, yeah, we hope you've enjoyed this case study that we went through. If you have any questions, let us know. We would love to try and answer those. If you feel like we could help you with, if you have something similar going on, we do free calls. So that's always in the description of this video or on the show notes in the podcast. So we'd love to chat with you if you have any questions for us as far as that goes. But thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys on the next episode.
If this episode has served you in any way, drop a review wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd love it if you'd share any aha moments or takeaways on Instagram and tag us at Cornerstone Integrative Healing.
And if you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do so. We want to continue to walk this journey with you. Until next time, friends, know that we are praying for you.